This is Crystal Palace. We're now moving to DEFCON 3.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every day. Whether you're watching the show on YouTube, wherever you're downloading your podcast, we always appreciate your support, and this show's always free. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms and conditions do apply. All right. At this point of the defensive tackle war games, USC's Crystal Palace is in scramble mode. It's getting serious. We have a situation, and Coach Riley and the House of Victory, they better get their house in order. I said it on yesterday's episode of Locked On USC. I kind of knew when I saw that USC extended an offer to a defensive lineman from the University of Wyoming. His name is Gavin Meyer. That happened on Thursday. Something didn't feel right. And I knew that because once JVR Suggs, who USC was going after hard, that was their top guy they were going after in the transfer portal after missing out on Derek Harmon. Once Suggs had announced that LSU had offered after he had just taken his official visit to USC. Yep, we knew that was going to delay things, and my hunch was right. Suggs released his Final Four, and guess what? USC missed another cut again. So JVR Suggs is choosing between Michigan, Kentucky, LSU, and Wisconsin. I mean, yeah, this is sad. It's like watching Tiger Woods trying to make a comeback and he's just not looking like his old self. Just can't do it. That's what USC is looking like right now. They're trying to come back and they just can't do it. It's frustrating. It's embarrassing. And the optics are just effing terrible. How many times is USC going to say la vie, such is life. Let's just go get the next guy on the list. So like I said, the next guy up is Gavin Meyer. 6'4", 282-pound nose tackle. University of Wyoming. Last year, 26 tackles. 3.5 of those were for a loss. He played in 13 games as a senior last year, so he appeared in all of them. And he was also named first team All Mountain West by PFF, Pro Football Focus. So I guess, let's recognize that he does have some skill. As far as Mountain West Conference, he was first team. So he's got a good play. He's got some talent to work with. If Coach Henney and Coach Newell are looking for somebody they want to develop, sounds like a good guy. Now, Gavin Meyer's agent, his name is Miles Jordan, told On3 that Cal, Florida State, Michigan State, Indiana, Wisconsin, Duke, Purdue, Illinois, Minnesota, West Virginia, Houston, BYU, as well as San Diego State have all thrown their hats into the ring for him. Okay. Pro tip rule number 1 for my listeners. This is how you generate interest and generate NIL value. Have your, and I'm using finger quotes, have your representative say, so-and-so expressed interest. I mean, that comment alone is so vague. And, the coaches who are recruiting you, bringing you in for a visit, they can't really talk. They can't comment and say, no, we didn't. Because it's just a rule. You're not allowed to talk about players unless they're signed on the dotted line. So now, young man Gavin Myers, he's going to take a visit to USC, as well as he's going to take a visit to Cal and Illinois and Wisconsin. He's originally from Wisconsin. So USC's up against that, just like Michigan is in the Final Four because JVR Suggs has never left the state of Michigan other than for these official visits that he's taken. He's probably going to end up going going to Michigan. Be shocked. But, again, LSU made the cut, so we'll see. Kentucky? Really? Whatever. Like I said, just like they were up against it with JVR Suggs, now USC's going after another guy who will probably want to finish his college career. I would want to, playing in front of family and friends. So why is USC going after this guy? Well, because they have no choice. That's why. With that said, the last two guys USC went after from Wyoming's program, it's worked out pretty well so far. So maybe that helps USC a little bit. Maybe Gavin say, hey, you know what? Let's make it 3-for-3 for USC. Solomon Byrd, developed, off to the NFL, drafted. Emmanuel Prignon, he's a starter on USC's offensive line. By now, it's obvious. USC has chosen not to pay for the, finger quote, top guys in the transfer portal. But right now, I think we're at a point where it really doesn't matter who's added to the roster based on who's available. They need to add guys. And for USC, the issue is they're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. Any of the guys who are in the transfer portal right now, probably not immediate impact need guys, right? Look, I'm going to give USC staff the benefit of the doubt. I have no reason not to doubt them. Lincoln Riley went out and, USC, they invested on the defensive side of the ball. Look at that coaching staff, second to no one. I'm not being sarcastic. I think it's a really good coaching staff on the defensive side of the ball. But the staff that I'm blowing up right now, they must not think the guys in the portal, as well as how much it might cost to get those guys, are better than the guys they already have on the roster. And think about it. Isn't it crazy how Kobe Pepe is the last man standing after he actually tried the portal last year before pulling out? He's going to end up being a big-time benefactor now with this coaching staff. He's got Coach Henderson. He's got Coach Nua. Well, he knew Coach Nua. He now has Coach Henderson along with Coach Nua. And Kobe Pepe's not the only benefactor. You've got the incoming freshman who is like, you know what? It's my time. You've got Jide Abasari, who's been here all spring. Carlon Jones, who's coming in, 313 pounds. You've got Ratumana Bulabalavu, pressing 300 pounds. Somebody explain to me. Dejan Lafitte, tell me, why did you take off? Were you asked? I don't know. Did he think he was going to be replaced? This whole spring window has been really weird. I alluded to it on yesterday's episode. If USC's taking care of business at their other positions that they needed to throughout using the transfer portal in December, as well as during the spring. But they aren't getting a sniff from their biggest and most immediate needs. Offensive line, they need some depth help at tackle. Defensive line, they need some depth help. Interior. DEFCON 3. It's got everybody on high alert right now, right? It's time to be concerned. So what's the strategy now, General Trojan fan? You're in charge. What's USC's next move? Like I said, can they go 3-for-3? Do they get Gavin Myers? By the way, side note, because I read this on the internet, so it has to be true. USC has the number 3 ranked recruiting class. Okay. Clemson, number 4. So would you believe it if I told you that Clemson is the only school in the Power 4, there's no more Power 5, that has not taken a transfer so far in the transfer portal? Crazy. Their lack of, I guess we'll call it NIL, paying players, it's not affecting their recruiting. So why is USC under attack? Why is everybody stressed? Why am I moving everybody to DEFCON 3? With killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and the best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. See the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All in prices show your total up front. That way you know what you're getting. That way you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. And Trojan fans, I'm asking you again, I'm reminding you, have you gotten your tickets for the game against LSU in Las Vegas yet? Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event. You can save up to 60% buying at the last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. I wouldn't wait on this one, Trojan fans. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. In fact, if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKED like David, ON like Nancy for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume because they're shouting at you? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Here's another feel-good story for you to take into your weekend. Is it time to be concerned about Ju Ju Lewsi and his commitment to USC? If you haven't heard, he is taking a visit to Indiana. Yep, he's put them on his visit list. Look, I'm not bringing this up because Indiana scares me. They're not going to flip Ju Ju from USC. Relax, take a deep breath. Okay, now that you've taken a deep breath, sit down. Relax. I keep hearing whispers about Auburn, how they're sneaking up on USC, and they're making it really interesting. You know, Auburn's really close to, Auburn's a lot closer to Carrollton, Georgia than USC is. So, number one, I think I've mentioned this in the past. My everydayers might have heard me say this on a previous episode of Locked on USC. But Auburn is paying players in this cycle. Okay? Let's not make any mistake about this. I mean, they're making it rain. If you're old enough, you'll understand this this little joke, this little sarcastic joke here. If they were doing one of their tractor parades, the boys from Hee Haw, they would be throwing cash at people right now. That's what they're doing at Auburn. Remember, Auburn convinced Isaiah Rakes to bounce after spending the winter and the early parts of spring in Los Angeles. Yeah. Isaiah Rakes, defensive tackle at USC, position of need is at Auburn. They paid him. They got him to come back to the SEC, I should say. He came from Texas A&M. Here is why USC fans should probably be at DEFCON 4 and not at DEFCON 5. It's because of the proximity. I think that's going to play a role for Ju Ju. Remember, he's young. He's 17. He reclassified. He's supposed to be class of 26. He's going to be class of 2025. I mentioned he's from Carrollton, Georgia. It's literally like a stone's throw from the Alabama state line where Auburn's located. I think Auburn's like 400 miles from Carrollton. So what Auburn's doing? Yeah, they're in his ear all the time. They're close by. They're singing him at all those passing events. So they're showing him that Caleb Williams type of NIL bag. And they said, hey, you know what? You can get this. You can stay home, stay close to home, family, friends, all of the coaches who have brought you up. I mean, I think this could be worth the concern. Remember, he never transferred out west like many speculated he would. Talked about it on this show. Modern day, everybody thought modern day was the destination. So maybe he's not ready to move from the sticks to the big city just yet. I'm not trying to downgrade anybody. Just using hyperbole. Venting. Look, let's be honest. Let me give you the other side of the story. Juju has been very consistent with his comments. Okay. He's always said, look, I'm solid with USC. 100% locked in. Love Coach Riley. Love USC. Can't wait to get back out there. Keep developing that relationship that we've been building. Nevertheless, he's still entertaining offers, and he's taking official visits to other schools. He's taking one to USC. Don't forget. Just don't panic. He'll be at his official visit is the June 7th recruiting bash. Okay, that's when he comes to USC. Oh, by the way, his next official visit, 1 week later, Auburn. So, again, is there reason to be concerned? My everydayers, again, this is why you want to become an everyday listener, watcher, if you're on YouTube, of Locked on USC. If you're watching on YouTube, become a subscriber. Smash that thumbs up. Hit that bell notification button so you don't miss any of this news I keep bringing to you guys. So my everydayers, you'll remember this. Back during spring camp, I told you about there was a spring practice. USC had 3 of those that I attended that started at 5:30 a.m. Yeah. I didn't live at USC, so it's not like I rolled out of the bed at 5:15, getting over to practice at 5:30. No, my day started much earlier. But you know who else's day started earlier that day on this particular practice? Local product quarterback, Centennial High School. Yep. The one who, his name is Houston Longstreet. And he showed up to one of those 5:30 a.m. practices. Doesn't have an offer from USC. But he showed up the week he was committing to Texas A&M. Why is that interesting? Why is he showing up to a USC practice at 5:30 in the morning? And he was there before it started. If you don't have an offer and you're committing to Texas A&M at the end of the week. After that practice, here's the interesting part. After that practice, I spied Coach Riley and Longstreet. They were standing in the middle of the practice field, Coach Riley and him by themselves having a nice private little conversation. This must have went on for at least 20 minutes, maybe longer. In the event that all of a sudden we go from DEFCON 4 to DEFCON 1, and you know what I mean when I say that, Juju all of a sudden decommits from USC. Coach Riley, I really hope he has Houston on speed dial. Not Houston. Make him an offer that he can't refuse. I hope that everyone has a great weekend. I do have a Friday rant coming up in the next episode that I think will leave everybody in a even better mood. But I had to bring that up. Again, I'm hearing whispers. I thought, you know what? One person, I keep hearing whispers. So I said, you know what? I got to bring this to everybody's attention. I know I talk about it all the time. Tell you all the time, hey, Juju's committed. But now I'm starting to say Juju's committed, but somebody's hacked. Somebody's gotten into him. And because of that, we've jumped from DEFCON 5 to DEFCON 4 with Ju Ju Lewsi. Keeping you on alert. I've been told I'm a competitive person. Can you tell when I'm talking? You hear it in my voice, right? Okay, well, yeah, I do have a competitive side. And that competitive side has kind of fallen in love with that game Monopoly Go. You might have heard of it. It's been downloaded 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly where you play not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards, crazy locations all around the world, building up amazing cities, and that can bring you some big money. You know what I like about it? You get to mess around with your friends. So hook them up with Monopoly Go. And because you own the properties and they're renting or leasing from you, you get to go in and take their money. So it's not just my competitive side that loves it. You can also team up with your friends and people all around the world in time tournaments, earn huge rewards. So get in the game. Join your friends, download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. Just win, baby. Al Davis made that motto famous when he was the owner of the Raiders, both Oakland and LA and Oakland. Guys moved around so many times. But he was, talk about a competitive guy. He only wanted what was best for his organization. Literally, it was by any means necessary for Al Davis. Just win, baby. I mean, if it meant Fred Bolitnikoff turning himself into a human glue stick, or you know what, Al Davis just said, you know what, I understand the rules, but I'm going to make my own rules, and whatever it takes, I'm going to go get whatever it takes to make my team the best. So whether it was for John Madden, Tom Flores, the Super Bowl winning coaches, he did what was necessary. Al Davis had a commitment to winning. By the way, did you know that Al Davis has some connections to USC besides just Marcus Allen? Some of my older everyday listeners, viewers will know, but yeah, Al Davis actually coached at USC back in the late 50s under Don Clark. And what's so ironic about Al Davis's just win baby motto? Those Don Clark years, 1957 through 1959, yeah, they were the Trojans were 13, 16, and 1. It was even worse than that though. USC was 0-5-1 against UCLA and Notre Dame. That is no freaking bueno. Is USC committed to winning? Yes, they are. Look, they went out and spent a bundle on Lincoln Riley. They're spending a bundle on their new football facilities. And in this past offseason, they spent a bundle on their new defensive coaching staff. And according to sources, House of Victory is funded and ready to spend it on the 2025 defensive line class that Lincoln Riley and Eric Henderson and Sean Nua have been building up. So, what is the definition of winning, being committed to winning? Some say the Dodgers have made a commitment to winning. I mean, they're out spending everyone for the best players. As a Dodgers fan, my response is, then why in the hell is Dave Roberts still managing that team? I mean, talk about wasting money. And this is where my USC rant starts, right here. When is USC going to start wasting money on the transfer portal so Lincoln Riley can compete for a playoff spot this year? Look, if you're prepared to pay the 2025 defensive line class, then start spending now. No risk it, no biscuit. I mean, I told you how they didn't want to pay the price for a couple of the guys out there in the transfer portal. Demonic Williams, they got after him late in the process. They thought, you know what, let's give him one more chance. Didn't work, didn't happen. Oh, remember Jermaine Lole? Well, he's now actually flipped from Oklahoma. He is now going to Texas for more playing time and more money, allegedly. I reached out to my locked on partner over there at the Oklahoma site. Apparently, more money, more playing time. I told you, USC could have had both of these guys, or at least one if they wanted to. You know, if they wanted to waste their money doing it the Al Davis way, just win, baby. USC needs to stop being used for leverage. Remember, pro tip? USC expressed interest. And if USC is going to show interest, look, if they're going to take their time and vet and do all that interviewing process through, Zoom, that's when most of the heavy lifting is done. Then if you're going to fly the guys out for their official visit, you've already got significant interest. Hopefully both parties have that. You got to close the deal. You can't let them leave without getting that commitment. Look, I don't have the answer, but my reasons of deduction points to the NIL deals, the USC's NIL deals for these guys that they need, biggest, most immediate needs. These deals just aren't competitive, at least in the players' minds or their representatives' minds. Maybe they are in the minds of USC. Because remember, Brian Kelly said the same thing. They're not into buying players, yada, yada, yada. But he was lying because JVR Suggs was listening late, took their offer, made their Final Four cut. This isn't what NIL was intended for, pay for play. But that's what it's turned into. Here's the deal. I mean, look, even though the collectives and paying the high school recruits is considered acceptable, we need to agree. We need to come to a common ground here that the spirit of the NIL rule book, it's being loopholed to death. I mean, if this thing was in jail, you know what its name would be. I can't. It's a family show. Can't say it. Yeah. The way it's being loopholed, you've got boosters. You've got people who are donating to collectives specifically to get these players. I'm not saying that USC and House of Victory aren't committed to winning. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is when you're in Los Angeles, you can't play money ball. You can't play small ball. Until I get more details, this is what the optics look like. USC just is kind of, yeah, we're playing the whole game, but we're not really. And that's fine. If you've got confidence in your guys on your roster and the guys coming in, great. I stand behind you. I trust your evaluation process. But the optics say otherwise. You're going after the guy. You need the help. Coach Riley said it. And it's bizarre. We're focused on the defensive line. We're not. I'm barely talking about the help they need at the offensive line, tackle depth. Maybe we'll talk about that on the next episode of Locked On USC. 5 times a week. That's what we do here. All right, I'm done for this week. That's my rant. Been a rough week for USC. Maybe everyone will have a great weekend. Come back next week. Have a solid week of news to report. So until then, everyone, you know what to do.